In a small lively town in Nigeria, there lived two neighbors who were more like families. Their homes stood side by side, their windows almost touching each other, and their doors were always open. They each had a daughter, Zina and Fiona. Zina and Fiona were not just neighbors, they were best friends. From the time they started walking, they played together in the dusty streets, ran barefooted across the compound, climbed mango trees, and chased butterflies. They laughed when they were happy and cried together when they were sad. Sometimes they even fought over who got the biggest roasted corn from Mama Nosa's store, but always made up the next minute. They attended the same schools, primary, junior secondary, and even the same girls' boarding school. At the boarding house, Zina slept on the top bunk and Fiona on the bottom. They whispered secrets at night about the boys they liked, dreams of the future, and how they would stay best friends forever. Zina was the intelligent one. She always got the best grades and won school awards. Fiona did well too, but not like Zina. Still, they never let jealousy come in between them. After secondary school, they both got into a top university in Nigeria. The whole neighborhood celebrated them, and they were the pride of their parents. Soon after graduation, Zina got a job first at a big oil company. But she didn't forget Fiona. She spoke to her boss, and Fiona was hired too. Everyone who knew them called them blood sisters because of how close they were. They shared food, clothes, and even secrets together. But then something changed. Zina got promoted at work. The company offered to send her abroad for 6 months training. She was overjoyed. She hugged Fiona and said, "I will bring you lots of gifts when I'm coming, I promise." On Zina's return, she did exactly as she has promised. Her bags were filled with perfumes, dresses, jewelry, and handbags for Fiona. Not too long after, suitors began to knock on Zina's door. Handsome, rich, and respectable men, all asking for her hand in marriage. One day, Kofi, one of Zina's admirers, invited her to a grand birthday party. Zina had the perfect dress, but needed a shoe to match. "Please, can I borrow your sparkly heel shoes?" she asked Fiona. "Of course! Aren't we sisters?" Fiona said, smiling. She handed her the shoes. That same evening, Zina heard the doorbell ring, but when she opened the door, there was no one there. She only saw a small wrapped box at the doorstep, and on it was written, "To my dear Zina." She opened the box, and in it was an expensive perfume. She smiled and said, "Maybe Kofi sent this. Probably he wants me to wear it to the party." At the party, everyone admired her outfit. "Look at those shoes," they whispered. "She looks like a queen," some others said. Zina was blushing. She was feeling so good about herself. But after that day, Zina's life began to fall apart. First, she started having terrible headaches. Then she started throwing up blood. She was rushed to the hospital, but the doctors found nothing wrong with her. Back at the office, things got worse. People stopped greeting her. Her boss avoided her. Then one morning, she was called into a meeting and accused of stealing company's money. "Me? Steal company's money?" Zina said, in total shock and confusion. All her admirers disappeared. They stopped picking her calls. Her health got worse. Fainting spells, terrifying dreams. Her legs became swollen and smelly. After she lost her job, life in the city became terrible. She needed a place to hide away from the whispers of people, so she went to the village, broken and weak. One evening, an old man saw her crying under the tree. He looked at her for a while and said, "My daughter, your pain comes from someone close to you." Zina's heart pounded. "Someone close to me? she replied. But who? The old man said nothing. He led her to his medicine shop. There he prayed for her, asking the wickedness to return to its sender. He gave her some medicine made from leaves, and slowly she started to heal. On the 7th day, things started to fall apart for Fiona. Her legs became darkened and swollen. She could barely move. She sent a message to Zina. When Zina arrived and saw Fiona lying on the bed, she burst into tears in pity and said, "Oh my goodness, Fiona, what happened to you?" But in reply, Fiona said, "Zina, I have something to tell you," she whispered. "I am responsible for the misfortune that befell you. I was jealous of your grades, jealous of your job, your trip abroad, and even the men who liked you. I sent you that perfume. I visited a native doctor who told me it will remove the fever from you and divert it to me. I didn't know it would go this far," Fiona cried. Zina stared in disbelief. "You? My best friend? I can't believe this." Fiona begged for forgiveness, but Zina was so upset. She walked away without saying another word. However, she thought about the situation for days. Should I take her to the man that killed me? Or should I leave her to die? After some days of thinking, she returned to Fiona. "You did wrong," Zina said to Fiona, "but I can't leave you like this." She took Fiona to the same old man that treated her. He gave her some medicine and she slowly healed. But her left foot was too damaged because it wasn't treated on time, so it was amputated. Fiona now moved around with crutches. Her face was pale and she was always very sad. Zina visited her often, bringing food and sitting quietly with her. One day Fiona asked, "Why do you always come here?" Zina smiled softly. "Because we grew up together, Fiona. Sisters don't abandon each other," Zina replied. But deep down in Fiona's heart, jealousy still lived there, quiet like a green snake under green grass. Weeks passed. Zina found another job at an even better company. Her new boss, Mr. Obiora, was kind, wealthy, and liked Zina a lot. He invited her to special events and praised her publicly. Rumors started spreading that Mr. Obiora might marry Zina. Fiona heard about the rumors and the fire in her heart roared again. "Zina keeps rising and I'm stuck here with one leg," she fumed. This time around, Fiona did not go to the herbalist. She planned something worse. One day, she sent a note through a little boy to Zina. The note read, "Meet me at the old mango tree at sunset. It's about Obiora, and make sure you come alone." Zina was very curious about her husband-to-be, so she went. When she got to the location, there was no one in sight. Then suddenly, two masked men jumped out of the bush and grabbed her. She tried to scream, but they covered her mouth and dragged her to an abandoned building. They waited till midnight for Fiona to come and identify her before they would shoot her. But when they took off the blindfold, one of the men gasped. He looked closer at her and said, "Is this not her?" "Oh, it's her, oh, it's her," he shouted. "What's wrong?" the other guy asked. "She once helped me. This lady, she has helped me before. I was starving and stranded. I was lost in thoughts. So I was walking. I wasn't looking at the road and walked into her car while she was driving. Instead of her to be upset, she took pity on me and gave me food, money, and even told me to call her anytime I needed someone to talk to." The guy replied, Oh, you told me that story," the second man said. "She's the one?" he queried further. "Yes," the first guy replied. "And I can't do anything to hurt this kind soul." They untied Zina, gave her money for transport, and told her the truth. "We are sorry we did this to you, but see, it's Fiona. Fiona sent us." Zina was short of words. She returned to town and went straight to Fiona's house. "Zina?" Fiona gasped. You are alive?" "Yes," Zina replied calmly. "You tried to kill me again, Fiona. But my good deed saved me. I thought you had changed after the last incident." As they were speaking, Obiora arrived with the policemen. Zina had called him earlier on her way to Fiona's house. Fiona was arrested to face trial for kidnapping and attempted murder, and Zina kept her promise. She didn't report the two men to the police. With Obiora's help, they got a good job for them and they left their dirty job. Months later, Zina and Obiora had a beautiful wedding, while Fiona, on the other hand, was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Unfortunately, she couldn't survive the 10 years. She died after 3 years. For the 3 years until her death, she was alone and full of regrets. The moral of the story is that jealousy is like fire. It burns not just others, but you too. Do good always. You never know who your kindness will save. And lastly, the heart that forgives is the heart that truly lives. Thank you for watching. See you in my next story. Bye.